Meeting together. It's October 12th. We have a full quorum. All members are here. Thank you. Staff and advisors are all, most are
Some
here.
are here. Some are here.
So Suzanne Scott is on vacay and so is Jim Thatcher. Everybody else is here. Thank you all. We've got the minutes from the meeting that was held on September 14th. Sorry I missed that, guys.
We're sorry too. Yes.
Any comments or questions on that, on those minutes? If there being none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will vote yes too, even though I wasn't there, but the minutes look good. The financial report, we have a 9-month ending September 30, 2023 report.
Actually, the CDC and Urban Renewal don't have those reports because we didn't prepare them. We were only preparing, this is an issue with the agendas for this and for the Urban Renewal. So those two items can be scratched from the agenda.
Right,
Okay.
because there are none.
Because there are, yes.
There's no financial.
We have financials, but we don't have reports this
Right.
morning.
Okay.
There's been no activity.
Yes, and our apologies for that. That's an oversight on our part.
Okay, so
See how
for
I pulled
the
you in?
minutes, our next item is to review the 5-year budget. And this is something that I believe we did back in March at our annual meeting, but we're doing it again to be in compliance with the ABO, and this will be reported on our to the ABO and on our website. It goes into what's called the Paris report, I believe. And so everyone's got a copy of that budget taking us out to year 2028. And it's a very basic budget. As you know, the Civic Development Corporation has very little business other than our existing business, which is one outstanding bond agreement with the library. And so, any questions or comments on this? We're basically projecting the same expenses for each year going out to 2028. There being no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve?
One quick question. Remember we had the conversation about what was the thing with the store tech? Is that in there?
Store tech was last month. That was approved last month.
But is that in here? Is that reflected going forward?
In this
In
budget,
the budget?
Yes,
Under,
accounting.
okay.
so the explanation, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, so the audit is what? What was the audit this year, how much?
No, store tech was IDA.
Oh, never mind.
Right.
Never mind.
Right, I was gonna say, why would storage take the CDC?
Well,
CDC doesn't do
Yeah, we
anything.
had that same conversation, forget it. Never mind.
Right.
Scratch
It's
that.
our favorite board.
Delete.
Okay,
Rewind.
so everyone, there's the 5-year budget. We've got no comments or questions. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Budget is passed. Are there any other reports or anything to come before the board? Okay, so there being none, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it says here that we would have a meeting November 9th if needed. I think not likely, but
Right.
yeah, just in case. Okay. So then, are we up yet? We're rolling? Okay.
Okay.
So then we're going to call the Glens Falls Industrial Development Agency meeting to order. We have a full quorum. All members are present. Thank you. Staff and key advisors and consultants are here, except Suzanne Scott is on vacation and Jim Thatcher is on vacation. The administrative report, CEO report, Jeff Flagg.
Yeah, not a great deal going on this time of year. We'll talk a little bit about the South Street projects when we get down to project reports. There's also, farther down, I'd like to at least have a brief conversation about the auditor situation. maybe looking at some options. I will say that I've had, as I think I mentioned last year, there's been a number of developers who've expressed some interest in support from the IDA. I've expressed the openness to support should the projects require it. Some of them are local developers, some of them are new to, in my experience at least, new to the city, and some are from outside. I've seen some interest in, I've had people coming in expressing some interest in moving businesses here. One in particular is looking at it's a manufacturer, a sports equipment manufacturer from Rochester that wants to move here. They're talking to a local property owner about purchasing a property. They would almost certainly, given the location they're looking at, would almost certainly have to expand it at some point. They're in a rush for their own reasons, so they may sort of make do for now in a smaller space that they can renovate, and then they're looking to expand probably within the next year or two. Their timeline is their own, but they would almost certainly need some support from us, given what I think the numbers are that they have thus far. There's also a couple of mixed use properties, one here on Warren Street, a developer looking at, one on Bay Street, and another one on South Street. So, we're in preliminary stages. I've told these folks to keep us apprised of where they are, and we're happy to help them to the extent that they require help for their projects. So that's all I need for right now.
Jeff, did you want to mention that the one potential sports player was looking at property on Pines Island?
Pines Island, yeah, there's actually, I don't think it's a big secret, it's Reed Street, the small property that's behind, how well you know Pines Island, if you know where LDC Supply is, back behind there, called Charlevoix, owns a small property behind all the big warehouses that's been vacant for a few years. It's right on the canal too, and it's very close to where that the new bridge is. So it would be nice to sort of get something there that looks nice. So they're in the process of negotiating. The company is out of Rochester, as I said, and they make high-end paddles. Cool. And that's why the location is really nice for them, because they like to be near water, so they could even have access to the river or the canal, really. So they're very enthusiastic and are in a hurry to get out of their current location. So they have some big equipment pieces that are problematic to move, and they're not sure they can fit them in the current space. So they may have to sort of move part of their operations here and keep part of them there for the time being. One of the owner's sons works for them, and he may remain back there for the time being. So I think we're making some good progress. Obviously, there's hardcore negotiations going on with the current owner of the building, but we'll see where that goes. But I've got a couple of other options in reserve, I guess, that we looked at. One of which was part of the old Post-R building, and then one of which was the old Price Chopper building. Both of those, of course, have limitations.
No.
Yeah, correct.
Only when it rains.
Yeah, the water thing is not a deal breaker for them, but it's certainly desirable.
Sure. Marketing wise, that would make a lot of sense to even photos of them.
Correct.
With water.
I will say this, they love Glens Falls. And, in fairness to them, we had looked at, they had called and I'd gotten EDC involved and said, listen, if we can't find somewhere here, I'd rather have you in the county than somewhere else. Right. So they did go and look at some of the locations. As far north, I think is North Creek, and Warrensburg, and Luzerne, and came back and said, can we find something here? And they just like, they're in an urban area now, they like that, they want to get some people. One of the concerns, quite frankly, indirectly they're having is the housing situation. Yeah. Like, will we be able to find places for our people to live? They're paid reasonably well, but they're not, $500,000 owners. Right. So, and this holds for themselves too. They're like, we can live now. So we'll see if we can help them with that. What's that?
Is that how
Judy's in her backyard.
That's right.
We did have them, but they're all gone.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all sold.
gone.
Okay.
That's all I have for you.
All right, any questions for Jeff? And we'll have more, I think, talk about Market Square in a few minutes,
Yep.
so we'll follow up on that. Yep, okay. Very good. I have got nothing else to add to that, so I'm gonna move on to the minutes. We've got the minutes from the September 14th meeting, which I'm sorry I was absent for. Any comments or changes on those minutes? There being none, is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. I'll say aye too, even though I was not there, they look good. Do we have, we don't have the financial report? Yes, we do. We've got the financial report for the IDA. And this is for 9 months ending September 30, 2023. Mark, anything that you want to add to this?
Just 2 items for Fitzgerald that totaled $704, and then payroll for 40% for the month was $351. That was it.
Okay. Very good. Is there a motion to approve the financial report as presented?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Financial report is approved and it can be reported up to, get it loaded up to Paris.
I don't see payment of bill yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just do payment
I
of
was gonna
bills
say, and then
before we
the
do the
budget,
budget.
right.
So we've got payment of bills, and we've got 3 bills. Mark Toomey, $267.30. Jeff Flagg, $1,500, third quarter. CEO Service and Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth, $600, a total of $2,367.30 out of our budget, which you just saw. We have plenty of room for this. Any questions on these bills? There being none, is there a motion to approve the bills as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, we have our proposed budget, and we're doing this is the second time this year we've done this, and we're doing this now to comply with the Paris and ABO reporting requirements, that this be updated and filed before, I guess, the end of this month. And so we have annually been doing this at our annual meeting. And so this is very similar to that, although that we've added a 2028 year here with a little bit of change, but not much, but reflective of what we're seeing in our current costs. Mark can add to this if he'd like, and or Jeff, or anyone if you'd like, if you have questions. But we're gonna take a look at this and see if this is something that we should just do at this time of the year and not at our annual meeting, that possibly we're doing it too early when we do it in March. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, just the one thing, now it's relevant. So if you look and you see under the accounting audit costs, the actual number was $81.99 instead of $7,500. $7,500 was the estimate based on strictly the audit itself, the extraordinarily detailed audit. The $599 is for stored tech. So we put that in the budget going forward because it's a cost that we're going to incur going forward. So everything else you can see is well under what we budgeted. Obviously, the agency's fee is driven strictly by tax support projects, which we've not had any this year. So while there's several in the pipeline, and I would imagine them to be coming fast and furious, I think the problem right now is that projects are stalled. Once they're doable but still need support, I think we might find quite a bit of interest going forward. So
I think conventional financing is still difficult. Interest rates are high, and
Everything's taking so long, so much longer than we
Yeah.
were used to.
yeah.
so yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think what's happening right now is that, support, say, from the IDA is not gonna get them there.
Right.
So When
It's
you
not
can,
gonna cover
when
that.
you can get there with IDA support, you know, you might be enhanced, but right now, it's like, it doesn't matter. You know,
Right.
one person I've been talking to for a while is Peter Hoffman, who's, you know, looking at, I think Judy, you and I have talked to him both, separately at least, and he's looking at one of the former Travelers Building parcels, the one on Bay Street there, right across from, in between his buildings. And he's looking at some different options, but, you know, he's made it clear that he would need to get some support. I said, okay, where are you? Well, I'm still not ready to move forward. So I'm gonna need support, but he's not at that point right now. He's got a couple other projects he's working on, of course, the one on Maple Street still. And I've had some conversations incidentally with tenants there too. But, at any rate, I think that's really the driving barrier, that sounds like a mixed metaphor, to getting any progress on this. But I think we're,
But construction costs are up, material costs are up. I think supply chain issues less so, but interest rates are certainly very high.
yeah. You know, and one interesting article, the mayor and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, that I've run into, independent of anybody here, but, you know, one of the sidebar issues with high interest rates is that the cost of a project, the profitability of a project has to be considerably higher when
Sure.
the cost of
Cost
doing
of
nothing
doing it
is
is
5.5%.
Sure.
Right? If I consider do nothing for 5.5%, 8 or 9% does not get me there if there's
Right.
any risk at all. And so, you know, project to pencil has to be, let's say we're 8% was fine 2 years ago, it now needs to be 13.
Yep,
So,
it's true.
And it's hard to say, I mean, interest rates certainly are higher, right? But when you look at the 30-year thing, they're not that high, right? But they are, because you don't remember back
yeah, right.
several
Historically,
years,
they're not
right?
ridiculously high.
Yes.
Well, I think it's mostly been this pace, right? You know, if
That's-
those of us who remember
yeah.
back into the 70s and 80s, it happened over the course of several years. We got up to ridiculous rates, you know, 12, 13%, but it was over 4 years or so. This happened largely within a year.
Yep.
You know, and everybody from the banks themselves who suddenly have all these paper losses on, you know, very conservative bank. Glens Falls National is a perfect example. You know, they had, you know, when you have all these things on your books at low interest
Yep.
rates, very safe, gonna get paid, but as soon as interest rates are doubled, suddenly you have all these paper losses on your books because they're not worth as much. So, you know, it's a challenge for any financial institution, but of course that means it's a challenge for everybody else too.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, I think this looks good. If everyone agrees, I'd like to have a motion to approve the proposed budget so that we can get this filed up on Paris and on our website. Is there a motion to accept the updated budgets for going up to 2028 as presented?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is passed. We will now be in compliance.
And we will upload that as well.
So, we've had an audit one time with Bonadeo, and I don't think we've got a long-term contract with them, but,
I looked and I couldn't find anything. Pat was gonna look as well. I don't think we have any commitment.
I don't think they would.
no, I don't think.
I don't think that they would lock themselves into this number at any other year. Honest to God, I think that they can get what, you know, what the market will bear in any given year, and they're not gonna contract for 3 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
that sort of adds insult to injury a little bit, but
Right.
anyway, well, that aside, I mean, I would like to look, I don't know if you folks remember, but one of the reasons we had sort of resigned ourselves, and I don't mean any disrespect to Bonadeo, but they were the only one we could find, was because we were sort of following the lead of the city, and the city had only gotten the one reply from Bonadeo. We subsequently learned that Marvin and Company would have bid, but the city, they had declined to bid for the city because they were doing work with the city on ARPA. And the conflict of interest meant that they weren't going to bid on this. So the reason wasn't that they wouldn't do it, is that they wouldn't do it for the city. We didn't know that at the time, so I would like to at least look at the possibility of seeing if we could get Marvin and Company to take a look
Well,
at them.
now that Bonadeo has looped all of our assets into the city, have we put ourselves into a constant conflict situation?
No, I don't think so. I think it's worth going out and getting the quote, and then you could ask that question
Yeah.
further. It doesn't hurt you to,
Yeah.
you know, I think you should put it out to bid, as the city did to everybody, and
Yeah.
hopefully now Bonadil, you know,
Right.
keeps it. At least my understanding was it didn't change anything. They categorized income and expenses differently, and they wanted to make sure they showed it all because they were public authorities under the city. And they gave explanation for it. And they,
Well, let's see what Marvin says.
Yeah.
yeah.
That will change it all back.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
That's what I was concerned about, or not concerned, but, you know, I think you should go out to bid. But I think it is going to be an issue no matter what you do. If you go to somebody else, they're gonna look at things possibly completely different, right? And we've grown comfortable with Riccadelli.
Whitmore down.
Yeah, there you go. And so, what he said.
So
So,
comfortable
you know,
with that.
I think that it's certainly worth it to get another quote too, so that you could let Bonadil know.
Well, the other thing, the option I was thinking about was, I know that Urban Renewal had gotten Gene Lapper to do the one. Now, I don't know if that would be appropriate for the IDA, but for the CDC, which
Has fewer
has
transactions.
fewer transactions than that.
Well,
I know kids with baby names will have
We
fewer.
try to have no
fewer
transactions.
The whole object is to put it out there for anybody, and Jean
And-
almost didn't do it, and just so you know. She had somebody she was working with that was certified, apparently you have to be specially certified
Yep.
in public authorities, and Jean lost that person, so she tried to give us back that work, and I said, no, you can't give it back to me now, right? It was too far into it, and so she made it work. She had to search around to find somebody that
Who would
she
certify
did the
for
work,
her,
who
yep.
would certify for her. So, but you know what? I think that it's all, you should put it out
Yeah.
and see, and cast a wide net and see what you get.
And not necessarily loop them all together, but put them out individually, so that small entities could do the two smaller ones. That would be nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
so actually do two
Right.
RFPs, right?
Right,
One
one
for
with
CDC
everything.
and urban renewal and one
Yep.
with the others.
Right.
Okay.
Why not?
And can you include the transaction list, like here's the transactions
Right,
for last
right,
year?
right. Wink,
Well-
wink, nod, nod,
They-
right,
They fit on the same one page.
right.
You could, you could put out all four.
You're
You
asking for a higher bid if they bid them as four separate entities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because okay, so you don't want to do that, but you could put out,
You could,
Two.
you can put them, well, you could put them all out at the same time, and you could invite people to bid on all four, or to bid
On any
individually.
individual.
Individual
Yep,
one.
exactly.
And then you get your bids back. My family's been in this business for a long time, and my brother's the manager of a firm in the Utica area, and they did the same thing that Whitmore did. They've stopped doing any
Yeah.
audits.
And the reason was just what?
too much time, you can't make
much-
enough money,
The
believe it or not, at these
What-
numbers.
What the government is doing, particularly in
Takes
New
too much
York
time.
and some of the stuff, it's not worth it,
Yeah.
and it's, yeah.
There's some nefarious plot here behind this onerous audit
Well-
process.
Well, what the problem is that we have become such a litigious society that the government is trying to protect and answer every question. Make sure, it's covered.
It's gone beyond normal, typical
Yep.
audit requirements that would be done. So we would probably get a better price if someone came in and did all four. It would be easier to have one entity coming in with one group, one team of people coming in to City Hall and doing all four, and probably even the city at the same time. But I agree, I would put them out and let people bid either all four or individually, however you want, and let's see what we get. I'd put it
Yeah.
back out,
Mhm.
but I would do it quickly because
It's coming.
it's coming,
fast.
and so,
Yeah.
yeah. And Bonadil's price was very high.
Mhm.
And I know they've got an office down in Albany, but it's really a Rochester-based entity. And you're seeing more of that too. You're seeing accounting firms merging and And to have someone like Bonadeo, and I've dealt with them before too, having them move into the capital region, I was surprised to see that.
It's just potentially a staffing issue, generally speaking, and when you just say, well, there's not enough people who, the few people we have can do more lucrative things.
Right.
And it's
We
one
know
of, it's one of the best things in higher ed right now is to go into accounting. The schools that have accounting programs, they're, in high demand. So that's another issue, is more and more demand in that area. So I think it's one of the top 2 things, to get a degree in right now. And to be able to get a decent job. Yeah. Anyways,
Okay.
so I don't think we need a motion. I think just for the minutes to reflect that we've asked Jeff and staff to put this out to RFP, similar in form and format to what we've done in the past, and let's see what we get. Is that all
And
right?
just Suzanne
Great.
can help you,
Yeah.
right? Suzanne Kasich.
For the
Yeah.
record, we'll do the same thing with the LDC, right? We'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
We would have the, let me change what I just said. We would have the same conversation at the LDC meeting.
Yep.
Right? So
We'll just
we'll
skip
work
it.
together to just do
Right.
all.
Right.
I would do LDC,
Right.
IDA, CDC, and urban.
Right,
renewal.
exactly.
That's
Yep.
what I would do all
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
And put them out there and see who, and make sure everyone who's currently giving us work, Bonadeo included, and who else?
Marvin and Company.
Marvin and Company, and who did, and Gene Lapper, make sure they're on the list to get the
Yeah.
documents.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Other reports, Jeff? Anything? Project Market Square, Spring City?
Yeah, so as you may know, we're scheduling a groundbreaking for Market Center next Friday. We're working on an invitee list, they'll be included, and hopefully we'll be able to get started on that project. We've had ongoing conversations with Spring City, which I guess is actually becoming Venatio Development now. They're reverting to Venatio Development, and I think West Side Management is going to be becoming Venatio Management. At any rate, they'll be under the sort of Venatio umbrella, but I
They
think they're,
changed all their signs in my building, so yes, they were down in the first floor changing the signs.
yeah, I think the legal term is, a name is going to stay Spring City for now, from my conversation with Blair. I don't know how that works. You can
But they
figure it out.
haven't
They-
indicated that they want
Okay.
to change it yet. But
So, as the mayor knows, we've been working to try and get them to begin some work, right? Obviously, they can't begin substantial work on the buildings until they own them. I'm talking about phase 1 of Market Square. In the meantime, they're working with the city to ensure that they can purchase phase 2, the property phase 2, the farmer's market lot, because they get additional points or whatever if in their application, or it's your application, if they own it. We're going to add a reverter clause, so in the hopefully unlikely event that they are not funded, and you know, we've had conversations with those with whom we can converse about you know, the prospects for their application, which is due November 7th. This is the HCR application. I think we're cautiously optimistic. I mean, as Judy knows as well as anyone, right, there are no guarantees. It's a competitive program. We don't know who's going to be applying. So we're going to move forward as if they're going to be funded, but we're going to have to make some contingencies in the event that they're not. Meaning that, you know, if we assume that the deadline of November 7th gets us to probably late winter, early spring before announcements made, we have to come up with a plan to accommodate day plus, you know, let's say not getting it day plus 1. If they get it, I think we're all in good shape, and all this work will be wonderfully for nothing. I've never spent so much time working on something that I hope never came to pass. But in the meantime, you know, we're working with them on that. We also have one thing that I think we need to do, and we're going to try and make, perhaps combine these two, is there's work that needs to be done, and this is really an LDC issue, but I'm mentioning it now because it's all sort of bound together.
It's all tied together, yeah.
There are things that our insurance company has insisted that we do by the end of November in order to maintain our insurance on the incubator building.
Well, incubator and hot shots, both of them.
Well, oh,
There's a little bit of work on hot shots.
okay, well, phase one, let's just call it, there's some work that we need to do to maintain compliance with the insurance. So we're gonna see if we can't get some of that work done. We'll figure out how we can sort of incorporate it into the negotiations.
And what would that work be that needed to be done?
Well,
One is a brownfield, and there's an annual something that needs to be done.
Well,
Well, no, this is actual work.
this is actual like
Work.
lot work, right? So there's
Has there
some
been
concern about.
deterioration in last year?
Graffiti, walls,
Yeah, remove the
repairs.
graffiti, they want us to put lights on the outside, even though there hasn't been electricity to those buildings in 20 years, to, deter. There's some wall work on the incubator building that needs to be done where the cement, I guess, is kind of cracking and needs to just be reset. The one thing that we're in discussions with the insurance company about is that they want us to basically level the entire lot so that walking around people won't trip. And what I've said to them is, this lot is going to be under construction, right? And it's going to be completely changed by the end of the time. So it doesn't make any sense for us to go through and add sidewalks to this property when we're going to be redoing it anyway. So we're in the, that's one point of contention.
Okay, as a contract vendee, can't Bonaccio get an umbrella policy that covers these buildings?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question
And
for
get
them.
rid of them from our liability? I mean, they're the, right, I mean, that's the
Except that
move.
we still own the properties.
But they're under contract to purchase, so they
They're-
could cover
yeah,
as a contract vendee. I think that that's the way we go, because if we're gonna move forward, especially in order for them to get their application in time, this is gonna be quick. Why would we do this?
So we're gonna have groundbreaking prior to them?
No, on our
This is
market,
not-
on
this is
our
not market
farmer's
center.
market.
Just the market center.
Right, yeah, no,
Yeah,
right.
but
That
the
would
market
be-
center's that empty lot.
We're gonna,
Right,
yeah, we're gonna.
There-
press
that,
curtain.
that,
Can
apparently.
we
This
not
is
have this
LDC.
conversation right now? Let's have it under LDC and
since it's
executive
LDC
session.
properties. Yep.
Okay.
Well, then just to follow up on,
Oh,
What's the
Mark,
date on the Market Center? So that's for this, Market Center is Friday,
next Friday. October
next
20th.
Friday, and do you have a time yet?
We're looking at about 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, okay. Cocktails?
We were hoping.
Across the
So we're
street.
trying to get, so in Jeff's conversation, so I don't know that I've told you all this, but I had a chance to meet with the governor, and the governor had HCR call me because they wanted to know, they wanted to assure us that they were aware that we were helping Bonaccio with the application, and that they were aware of it, and they were aware that this is now tied with the DRI, and that they were understanding how important this was for the governor to move forward, and it was great. So those indications, we're trying to move forward with this groundbreaking on the 20th, trying to get the governor to come, and if not, one of the governor's representatives. So, and we're also trying to get the governor to come later that day as the Special Olympics opening ceremonies. So that's why we picked that day. We actually gave the governor several days, and she hasn't been able to commit to any of them. So she may not make it, but that's why we're doing this.
Gotcha.
Why we're trying to do this. And we also, just so you know, I mean, Jeff, he probably mentioned this in September, but just to clarify with you, right? We want Bonaccio to start work of some sort. They're reluctant to start without owning the properties. But they weren't reluctant to start some work, right? That was when we went back to the Empire State Development and the Department of State. They were happy with the progress we're making. They removed any kind of artificial date,
I think
right?
those are all LDC and city properties, so.
I apologize, so it shouldn't be, I'll bring this up in our next meeting.
Okay,
Fair
not an IDA issue immediately.
Good point.
But we do want all of you, our board members, if you're available on October 20th,
3 PM, and
3
we're
p.m.
gonna make
approximately.
that announcement either today or tomorrow to everybody. We wanna make sure you're invited as well as the council
All right.
and everybody ahead of time.
Very good. Okay. So, any comments or questions on that? So we will meet in November, on November 9th, and we'll hope to see you in October 20th before that. But anyways, no need for an executive session, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. So now we shall call to order the Greater Glens Falls Local Development Corporation meeting. We have all our members present and most of our key advisors and guests. We'll start with, if everybody's had a chance to read the meetings of September 14th. Anybody have any questions or comments on the meeting minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Under financial reports, again, the 9 months ending September 30th, you have a report from Mark Toomey. Mark, would you like to highlight anything?
The items that changed, legal billings, total 672, typical monthly insurance was 1157, payroll 60% was 526, Queensbury taxes for the annual amount was $8,736.28, and then the LA group for the BOA application was $8,500, and that was the only activity in September.
Any questions for Mark? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes, or excuse me, the financial report?
So moved.
So move.
Do we have a second?
One of us seconds.
Yeah, one of them, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Under the budget, we need the new ABO requirements of a updated five-year budget. I shouldn't say new requirement, but new, we just did this in March, and we're now back now. Does anybody have any questions about the changes, or Mark, any change in this one from the one we did and approved in March, other than the addition of, is it 2028?
Pretty consistent with, prior years, and no real updates.
Okay. That means we're holding you all accountable to be
Yeah, it's
on
just
these
good.
committees
We
until
laugh.
2028. You know? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Bank account review. We have a resolution to close our personnel account after and transfer the remaining funding into our operating account. This is the second account that the board is being asked to close in an effort to streamline reporting, and because the account says they were originally created are no longer needed. Pat or Mark, you want to comment on that?
No, just that this is what the board asked for, might have been at our annual meeting, might have been April, I don't remember that far back, because I'm old and that's what happens. But anyway, the goal of this is to streamline both our reporting, that Mark has to keep track of, and to get rid of these things that we don't need, right? We got rid of the arts account. We cleared the arts account. We still have to actually close the arts account, and we've now cleared this personnel account, and we want to be able to close it. So this would be the
Eliminate
second
it.
one that we can get rid of.
Eliminate it, right.
And just very quickly, there's also 2 BOA accounts for the brownfield opportunity areas that the LDC has. One of them had 55 cents in it, which has now been transferred to operations. But we want to keep those 2 open as we go forward with the BOAs, so that we have a place where grant funding can land for those two opportunities. So we're going to keep those 2 open. Mark won't have to pull his hair out because we don't have to worry about the 55 cents anymore.
Right.
So, no, but the goal of this resolution is to close this personnel account. Apparently, Ed had started it to pay someone with the LDC. I don't know, Judy, maybe you know, but it was more than a decade ago. As
That's what
whatever
we
his
did.
process was, we don't need it anymore. So, and there's $275. It's being,
When he went to work for the county, we
yeah.
created a account so that we could cover the cost that he gave for the hours he worked for us.
Okay,
So that was not needed anymore.
no. So we'd like to close that, if you would so approve.
Motion to close the count.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we need a vote to approve the payments. Mark, payment of bills?
Typical insurance for $1,157, 60% of the payroll, $400. Fitzgerald bill for August services, $144, and Patrick Dow for CDL service for $1,500, and one under DRI, one CT mail for $1,920.
Any questions? Do we have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Disbursement of grant funds.
You want me to take these?
Sure, please.
Okay, so basically, there's two resolutions before you. This small business support program is an amalgamation of a number of different, in the effort to streamline, as we do with the bank accounts, right? This is an amalgamation of a bunch of different grant programs that the LDC had out for this pot of money and for that pot of money and for that pot of money. And so the goal when we created it was to take that and streamline it so we had one set of regulations basically that could use any available grant source that we have. So this is the second grant to Larissa Ovitt and Greg Singer at the 58 South, where they're renovating that two-story building for the 3 storefronts and the 4 apartments, the 4 short-term apartments directly across the street from where the market center is going to be. They are very close to having, if not having, the lounge open. Do you know if they have that?
The 20th, I think they're, okay, that's the.
And then they also just signed a contract with a Mexican food business to go in where the old Irish pizza was. So they've now got the 2 or 3 jobs that is created. They're going to have, I think it's 2 or 3 FTEs at what they call the Golden Monkey Lounge, not my. Anyway, it's an interesting name for a business, but the short answer is that they have at least, what we think is at least 3 FTEs. What we think is at least 2 FTEs. There may be as many as 3. And they're obviously reusing this building that hasn't been occupied in a decade or more. So
we have 2 resolutions, Pat?
right. The second resolution is going back to Ed Bartholomew. He had a agreement with Downtown City Tavern to do a facade, some kind of facade project with them where they would be upgrading their outside,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
So they're in
Yep.
the process of
Remember that.
rebuilding their deck, really, it's not a deck, but their patio outside where they've expanded it, and now they're gonna have more permanent tents and everything else like that. And so the agreement was that they spend 50 and we give them 25 out of this escrow money that actually had been held here. They have completed half of it and asked us if we would, they've completed $25,000 worth of work and asked if we would reimburse them for half of that, which we agreed to. So that this second resolution is the $12,500 reimbursement for half of the project. We expect that before the end of November that they'll have all the rest of the paperwork done for the rest of it. So the second resolution also asks that we have permission when the final bills come in from them, that we are able to just cut them the check rather than having to go through the process of approval.
Have we already approved the 50,000 back in Ed's day? And it's just been sitting, right?
I
We
was
don't
gonna
do
say,
that?
I can only assume so.
Right.
Yes, that was approved.
So we don't actually need a motion to disperse. It's been approved, right?
What I understand is that anytime we're dispersing money, I need a resolution
I
from the
I
board.
don't think when Ed had it done, there was all of that.
Gotcha,
in it.
okay.
And it's been
A long
some
time,
time.
right.
We've actually been holding the funds, our office.
Okay, so we'll
Correct.
just update our, yeah.
Have they've really done the work though?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
You've seen it?
patios, yeah.
It is?
Yep,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
It's good.
yep,
Alright.
it does, it looks
They-
great, yeah.
It does? All
Yeah,
right.
they
done
went
the
into
first
actually
half
took
of it.
some of these parts.
They've done the first
They
half.
did,
They're
yeah.
only gonna give them
They-
that
they
first
did
half
an
until they
encroachment
show
deal
us
with
they've
the
done the
city.
second.
Right, did they
And then-
expand the apron into
Yeah.
the parking lot?
They did,
That
and
was
so
what
they-
our issue was back in the Ed day.
Well, and so
We
they-
were not allowing
They
them
have
to
room still, they
encroach.
still can park cars there.
They
But
can.
it just comes in a little
Right,
bit.
and they
I-
worked
just
with
really
Tom
split
to
out
make
the parking
sure,
spots.
they worked with
Yes, ma'am,
DPW
just
to
saying.
make sure
That's
that
why it got held up.
it was acceptable.
So do
So
we have a
interesting,
resolution
different-
first for this small business support program? The first of those two resolutions?
Okay, before, I
Go
had a
ahead.
question
Question,
about
sorry,
that.
please, sorry.
So the 58 South Street one,
Yes.
Yes?
have we given money to that before?
We have, right, that's why I said this is the
Because
second
I remember
one.
signing checks.
Yeah, that's why I said this is the second.
It's the second
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
What was the first one?
The first one was,
For the same location?
yeah, it's the same, the grant is for fixtures, furniture, and equipment for the business, right, for the Golden Monkey Lounge.
This one?
Both of them.
Their website looks
Yeah.
fabulous, but-
Yeah, it does.
But they're not,
They're all gonna get it.
you're not giving them double funding for the same
No, no,
stuff?
no, no,
That's
no,
what
no.
Judy's asking.
What are
No,
they gonna
it's
do
not,
there?
it's not the same funding. It's not for the same items, I guess is what I'm
No
trying to say.
alcohol. sir,
Different
just
items.
lounge.
Okay, what was the first
no,
one
I'm-
for?
No, there's alcohol.
I'd have to go back and look at 12. The total that we're giving them is, the total that we're giving them is 40, right? So it was, they spent 50. It's an 80-20 reimbursement. So they spent 50 and we're giving them 40.
So we're awarding 40 today, but what did we?
We're awarding, with we're awarding, I'll have to look at the resolution, Judy.
Okay.
We are awarding, I think it's 19,000 or 20,000.
Be it resolved, it authorizes the disbursement of the remaining funds,
15,000.
$15,872.
15,800, yeah, 72. That's
To
right.
make up the final payment of $20,000 owed to them.
Right. The council approved on Tuesday night, see, unfortunately, this gets into a lot of, anyway. The council approved economic development money out of the CDBG account to make up the rest of the money. This is economic development money from the CDBG account that's in LDC. So this is money that comes from the block grant.
I
That is
understand
it.
that. I don't
Oh, well, that's
understand the
good, 'cause-
dollar amount. I don't understand the dollar amount.
The total
So,
grant,
is
I'll go
40
back and find, I'll go back and find the.
Let me
the-
finish my question.
Sorry.
The total amount is 40,000,
Correct,
and so today we're approving 15,87206.
correct.
And it is not for the same items that we gave
Well, that
them
was
money
already-
for.
right, it's new
Under a
items.
different grant. It's
Right.
different
Correct.
items.
Yeah.
Different receipts you're requiring, it's
Correct.
different items.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a motion? No, any other questions? Do we have a motion to disperse the money from the small business support program?
Make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then the second is the CBG facade income improvement program. And the resolution is the final disbursement so the first disbursement of $12,500, which they've already provided $25,000 worth of receipts
Receipts,
for.
right.
Correct.
And then it does include the permission, if you so wish to grant it, the ability to disperse the next $12,500 after we get another $25,000 worth of receipts
Correct.
in facade improvements. Do we have a motion to pass that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Just so I'm clear, since I end up still signing a lot of these things, you're saying that if if they show up with the documents before our next meeting,
Right.
we're gonna pay that out anyway.
Correct, which
Right.
is something that the board actually asked for at one of the previous meetings, so that we didn't have
Have
to
to
keep coming
keep
back
coming
and
back,
asking for
right.
this
Okay.
ability to do, right? So
Right.
the goal of it was
Okay.
to streamline that
Yeah.
process as
So we
well.
only do once a month meetings, which we
Correct.
do appreciate, thank you for
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Just confirming, thank you.
That's great. Okay, so that are the two, so under other business, or do we have any other business? I was gonna ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do we have-
Well, we gotta state a reason, so we're gonna go in executive session
To discuss a
the
contract.
contract negotiations for the Spring City Development Project.
Thank you.
Mayor, what about the
I made it.
11/7? For the, were we gonna invite this group to come to, let me find it, the money market? Remember?
Oh, yes, thank you. On November 7th, in the mayor's conference room at City Hall, there will be a presentation by a group, Councilwoman Palmer put forward SUNY Adirondack is using a particular financial group that specializes in municipalities to where you might be able to invest your money in short and long-term things that would help you get better interest on those investments. So it's November 7th, and do you remember the time? I probably have it in my calendar.
You know,
And if not, I
November
can
7th
send you,
is
have Pat send you an
It's
email
election.
with it. So it
can't
is
have it.
election day, and it's one of the reasons I think it's that day.
November 7th
Councilman
is
Clark could make it.
10:30, is that right? 10 o'clock.
Is it 10
Oh, it's
o'clock?
in the
Okay.
morning?
10 a.m. Yep.
So
Yeah,
just
10
wanted you all to know,
Okay.
and we can
Yeah,
pass you
I
the
was gonna
information
say.
too. if
Yeah,
you
Okay.
like.
and just as a quick point of clarification with respect to Oldsey's account potentially, or agencies, we ran into a problem, right, with the brokerage who
Yeah.
said they cannot serve this, any of these agencies, because even though they can sell FDIC and government-approved instruments, their holding place for money, like let's say a CD matures, it has to go somewhere, right? So it has to go into essentially a holding account. It's a very safe money market account, but it is not guaranteed. And so they had to, after all this effort, so we are currently resigned to using a bank.
Right.
Strictly using a bank, unless there's an option here that
Sure.
we can certainly.
Is there- Maybe there is.
They don't have a guaranteed money market within their portfolio?
They don't have an FDIC insured because their portfolio is too large. The FDIC will only insure up to their maximum amount.
Because
For
I
any
just talked to
given-
my
for a-
broker for Morgan Stanley, and he said I could put it in either one that wasn't guaranteed or one that was.
So he's probably segregated an account for you, okay? What Edward Jones has is a generalized holding account for
Everything?
CDs
Is it
until.
just theirs, is it just them that do
According to
that? Or
them,
is
they
that
said-
pretty
They said
standard?
any brokerage will have the same.
Well, I was with Morgan Stanley, but he's in Rochester, but I'm sure all Morgan Stanley would have the same thing, but we could ask them locally.
You could ask them, but
I think it's because of the general municipal law regulations that apply to us, that when they review that, when their council reviewed that statute,
Right, they couldn't guarantee
they
us.
said they didn't meet those qualifications
Right. Mhm.
for a municipal entity. I'm assuming for individuals, it's much different
Yeah.
when they do that, but.
So we'll definitely send you an email and confirm that date and time for you. If you can make it, great. If you can't, we can provide you with a summary of what's discussed so that you can consider it. All right? Executive session, do we have a
A
motion?
motion to go into executive session to discuss the
Contract
contract
negotiation?
negotiations on the sale of property that the LDC owns.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
So motion,
Yeah.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Back into our meeting. I'd like a motion to have a special meeting on Tuesday, 9 a.m. of the LDC to discuss.
Next Tuesday,
This October
17.
17th, thank you, 9 a.m.
Here.
Here at this building. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I don't think we have any other resolutions, so do we have a resolution to adjourn the Glens Falls LDC meeting?
We prove everything we need.
We did. yeah.
Very good.
Go ahead.
We already, yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
I suppose I should have deferred to.
Motion to go into the urban, to open up, I'm sorry, I gotta make
Urban renewal.
my glasses, urban renewal, see if I have my agenda.
Here.
Got it, look at that. A motion to open up the Glens Falls Urban Renewal Agency meeting, it's still October 12th, and we have a quorum, and there we go. Do we have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we don't have any administrative report. We have the minutes to the regular meeting held September 14th, 2023. Do we have?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
There is no financial report, as there wasn't with CDC. That was an error on the agenda.
So we have no financial report. We do have a budget review of the required 5-year budget by the ABL.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please post to Paris and keep those people happy.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
I do not believe we have any other meeting for the Glens Falls Urban Renewal Agency. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let me have, those separately, thank you.